America, good morning. This is Jonathan Arias, landlord, attorney, multifamily housing attorney with the Onyx Group and Buy It, Rent It, Profit. Hey, I want to talk to you today about an article that came through in Bloomberg. This was a couple weeks ago, a week and a half or so. It's titled "The Snowballing U.S. Rental Crisis is Sparing Nowhere and No One." Renters across cities and income brackets are struggling to find new homes or pay for the ones they already live in. Let's talk about this. And really, I want you to focus on this graphic or these stats about cities in Florida. It is nuts. So here goes. A Las Vegas bartender coping with a recent cancer diagnosis is fearing eviction. A young professional in Tucson is skipping car payments to afford her higher rent. A researcher in Miami signed the lease for her new apartment sight unseen. Okay. Rental costs in the U.S. are soaring at the fastest pace in more than 3 decades, surpassing a median of $2,000 a month for the first time ever, and pushing rents above pre-pandemic levels in most major cities. Increases are particularly steep in metropolitan areas that saw large influxes of new residents during the pandemic. But the rental market is sparing almost nowhere and no one. I actually want to find out where is this ain't almost nowhere. I want to find out where it is, like in rural Idaho or something, where it's like, oh yeah, rent over here. Yeah, it's still $400. It used to be $400. This is $400. It's all good. I want to know. Maybe we'll never know. We'll see. While the affordability crisis in the U.S. is not new, it snowballed over the past year as people return to big cities in some areas short on housing supply saw a boom of new residents. Demand for rentals has soared, with many would-be homebuyers backing out of the market after mortgage rates jumped this year as a result of the Federal Reserve's aggressive interest rate hikes. Okay, so you have people who would have moved out of their rentals and bought a home, but the interest rates have gone up. And so people are like, I'm going to wait this thing out. Tight inventory is leading to bidding wars. Say that again. Amen, somebody. These bidding wars are crazy. Typically more a fixture of the home buying market. Rising costs and a shortage of available units are giving landlords the leverage to hike rents at all price points. And the end of the federal eviction moratorium combined with dwindling rental assistance has forced people to make tough choices. All right, here we go. This is what we're going to talk about. This is what caught my eye. I was like, say, what? I got to read this article just based on this graphic. So this company, CoreLogic, does research on different real estate areas. And they found here that Miami, the city where we are headquartered, had the highest annual rent inflation at 39.5, which is interesting that they put that there because here I went to their actual site and it says 35.5. So I don't know what Bloomberg is saying. Here we're talking about year over year rent price increase. I think we're talking about the same thing, and maybe there was a typo there. I'm not sure. Here is the same information. So I think that Bloomberg, I don't know, because this number is different as well. Maybe because this is this is the latest one. This is the latest one. I want you to see the latest one. This came out 3 days ago, whereas this article came out on the 10th. So maybe they didn't have this information and that was before. If that's the case, then it's gone down. So maybe we're trending in the right direction. But I'm going to show you the most updated, which is CoreLogic here. And they say that year over year, 35.5%, highest in the country. The median rent price for a single family home is $24.88. And then another city in which we operate heavily, Orlando, 23.3%, and median rent price is 1956. So I saw this and I'm like, I'm not just imagining it. This isn't something that people are talking about. You know, you hear you read articles, you watch videos. Me and my real estate buddies, we talk about this stuff. But here, I mean, these people have done their research, and you see what we have. So let's continue with the article. It's pretty much the perfect storm for renters right now, said Kate Reynolds, principal policy associate at the Washington-based Urban Institute. Those renters and their landlords don't have a place to turn if they're unable to pay the rent. Many renters who typically spend a greater share of their income on housing than homeowners are already struggling to keep up with larger bills at the grocery store and the gas station thanks to inflation running near the highest in 4 decades. And rent hikes are expected to persistently push inflation higher, since leases are staggered and renters face shocks at different times. Man, that's gonna be sheesh. Shelter costs account for about a third of the closely watched consumer price index, which increased by 8.5% in July from a year earlier, according to Labor Department data released Wednesday. I wanted to focus on this too, because Miami is a city of primarily minorities. And this is interesting. People of color and those with lower incomes are the most affected by the increase in rent prices, since they account for the majority of renters. In the US, about 58% of households headed by Black adults rent their homes, along with nearly 52% of Latino-led households. According to a Pew Research Center analysis of census data, in comparison, about a quarter of households led by non-Hispanic white adults and a little under 40% of Asian-led households are rentals. Some 54% of renters earn less than $50,000 a year, and the annual median household income among renters is about $42,500, below the national median of $67,500, according to Zillow. The problem is being felt around the world too. A recent analysis by Bloomberg Economics found that 19 OECD countries have combined price to rent and home price to income ratios that are higher now than they were ahead of the 2008 financial crisis. Yeah. So, in my opinion, let me just throw this. I'm not a finance expert, but I think that banks were doing a lot crazier things with mortgages back then. So we're not going to get to that point, what happened in 2008, but we are about to face something critical, indicating that prices have moved out of line with fundamentals. Meanwhile, U.S. landlords, including property investors, snapping up a growing share of homes in metro areas, are gaining the upper hand. Single-family rents rose by a record 14% nationally in May from a year earlier, according to CoreLogic, a real estate data firm. The increases were even more dramatic in cities that became popular living destinations during the pandemic, including an almost 40% increase in Miami, 25% rise in Orlando, Florida, and a 17% jump in Phoenix. I talked about this before, but now that a lot of workforces are distributed, people are working remotely, they want to go where the sun is. They want to go where it's going to be sunny all year round. Said this before. Went to law school in the Midwest. Man, it's the tough place to be from about mid to late November to about mid-March. It's a tough place to be. The slush, getting stuck in the snow, the cold. Man, you could be in Orlando or Phoenix or Miami. Let's go there. Coalition of tenant, community, and legal organizations called on the Biden administration on Tuesday to declare a state of emergency on housing and find ways to regulate rents. Some 5.4 million households, or 40% of households that are not current on their rent or mortgage payments, said they were likely to be evicted or foreclosed on in the next 2 months, according to a Census Bureau survey for June 29 to July 11. This is the highest share since the census started asking the question in August 2020. So it's only been 2 years that they've been asking the question. Mind you, this was during the pandemic. So, take that with a grain of salt. More renters than usual are staying put in their homes, sending apartment occupancy rates near the highest level in more than 2 decades, according to data from the property management software company RealPage. That cuts down on the number of apartments available for those looking to move. But the imbalances are starting to improve. Close to 1 million rental units are expected to be added to the US market over the next year or so, which could ease some of the pressure, said Taylor Marr, deputy chief economist for real estate brokerage Redfin Corp. Rent increases could drop to a range of 5 to 8% 1 year from now, he said. Still, it's not clear when the market may return to the low single-digit increases more typical before the pandemic. Putting continued strain on renters, he said. We don't expect dramatic shifts, Marr said. Okay. I'm going to read really the Miami version of this little story or case study. Miami was also a big draw for remote workers during the pandemic, increasing competition for housing and pushing rents up by 40% over the last year, the steepest increase out of the 20 large metro areas studied by CoreLogic. The median asking rent in the city is now $24.88 per month. Miami native, this is the type of stuff that happens. Miami native Gabriela Noa Betancourt didn't see her current apartment in person until the day she moved in. She and her partner began searching in June after the rent on their previous apartment increased by $650 to $2,400 a month. As they browsed listings, they noticed a pattern. Many of the units were being snapped up before they could visit, and the tours they did make it to were crowded with dozens of other applicants. Things were just flying off the shelves, she said. It took a few tries to secure an apartment. Betancourt, 28, signed 2 leases for apartments in Miramar, Florida, but the landlord opted not to execute them, deciding instead to go with other prospective tenants who may have been willing to move in 2 weeks earlier. Their third lease finally stuck, a 2-bedroom apartment in Southwest Miami-Dade County for $2,000. They lost about $100 in application fees. Okay. Am I gonna talk about the rest of this stuff? We kind of already touched on it. It's bad. I just want to talk about what things are going on in Miami, and if you want to, you can read the rest of this article. But this is where we are. This is what's going on, and data backs it up. Man, rents have been increasing dramatically in Miami. A lot of companies are coming here. It's something that is great for the economy. You know, we're getting a real bona fide tech sector here. I don't remember if it was this article or the other that talked about. Yeah, so here we go. I'll read this. An influx of new residents is driving up housing costs in Atlanta. Oh, no. That is not for us. Yeah, that's what's talking about Atlanta. For us, I know for a fact that tech companies and the tech company and the funding VCs that fund them are moving here because, like I said, we got the sun, we got the water, we got the beauty, we got the palm trees. What do you guys think? Reach out to me if you have any questions. If you have any questions regarding this or any landlord-tenant matters, I would love to hear from you. You can reach us at theonyxgrouplegal.com. I hope you are ready for what's coming. If not, you need to give us a call. Thank you very much for your time and your attention. Stay safe out there. God bless you.